Hello there, welcome into this very special edition. It's the first edition of the SAU Men's and Women's Track and Field Coaches Show. We're joined alongside head men's and women's track and field coach Tim Servis and coach. First one of this year, but probably the first one ever at Southern Arkansas University as far as a coaches show. The track and field program is one that has had an illustrious history throughout its time here at Southern Arkansas. Recently brought back, this is the first year coming back since it was discontinued. Talk about that being as the head coach, knowing that what the program used to be here at Southern Arkansas and bringing it back under your leadership.
Oh, well, the program used to be excellent. It was a great program. We have a lot of alumni that all hear many stories, good track and field stories about how great the program was and how much fun they had, and they just loved competing. And so for those basic reasons, I'm just glad I'm able to bring it or help bring it back to the community. It's had a rich tradition, and it looks like we're coming back stronger than ever.
You know, starting the program back, you might not know what to expect as far as the type of athletes that are coming in, but you hit the recruiting trail very hard once it was announced that track was coming back, both on the men's and women's side. Initially you signed 51 athletes, most of them freshmen, between men and women, but along the way you've also picked up some other ones, a couple of walk-ons that have come on to bolster the roster, not only from school but from other sports as well. So kind of just talk a little bit about the group of athletes that you've got kind of in general between the men and the women.
Well, we have two very strong group of athletes, two women that stick out of my mind right off the bat. One girl's a sophomore. Her name's Dakota Mayer, and we actually got her from Baylor. She transferred in here from Baylor, and she's excellent at several events, the pole vault. She's a great sprinter. And so I really think that she's going to shine. And then also we got a freshman by the name of Kenesha Bryant. We call her Tiny. And she is an excellent athlete. She's a great hurdler and a great sprinter also. So not only those two, but we have several other really good sprinters on the squad that have lots of potential. They've been improving a lot under the management of myself and my assistant coach, who I feel is second to none, Alonzo Banks. And give you a little history on Alonzo. He ran for Ole Miss, and he was Division I All-American, great sprinter, and he's helping out with the hurdles, jumps, and sprints with us, full-time assistant. So it's definitely an asset to have him, on the coaching squad. And then we have a very new coach, Isaac Snyder, who ran for Lake Erie, which is a Division II track and field school up in Ohio. And Isaac was an All-American also, Division II All-American. And so to have them on the coaching squad really helps us out, and will help the abilities of these runners coming in. We happen to get a lot of runners from the community, and we've been able to get them to improve quite a bit. So I'm really happy and thrilled about what my staff has been able to do with them, and happy that we're able to give back to the community, and we're able to have runners from the community to help us compete. Also, we have all the cross-country runners who have been very successful coming in, and they'll be competing in the middle and long distance, and some of them actually have a little bit of speed and able to sprint a little bit. So they'll be filling the squad up also.
We talk about, usually when a program is, either is coming into a school for the first time or it's being resurrected, sometimes there's a little bit of a transition period from the announcement to maybe like a season or whatever to get going. But you guys are jumping right into it. The announcement was made last summer. Again, talking about you hitting the recruiting trail, jumping right into it. Your first, for competition, your first meet is at Arkansas State coming up here at the end of the month, January 30th and 31st, or 31st and February 1st, throughout that weekend. Talk a little bit about, for those that may not know, the different types of events that your track and field teams are going to be competing in on the events that they go to.
Okay, well, the events vary from shorter distances to longer distances, and then they also have the field events, like we'll be competing in shot put. That would be considered a field event. Now, this particular meet, we're going to compete in shot put, and we're going to compete in some jumps, the long jump, and I guess that'll be it for this meet, the shot put, the long jump, and then we're going to follow up with hurdles and sprints and distance. Further in the season, well, it's different. Indoor and outdoor is a little bit different. It gets a little complicated. There's different events for indoor than there is for outdoor. A lot of them are similar, but then there are some that are different. So we're basically right now just an outdoor team. So some of the events that we do indoor is a little bit limited, but we use indoor to compete, at this time of the season, just to gauge where our team is at, and also it's a good motivator to help them move and promote and have fun. So that's kind of why we're doing that. But the events that we will be in, it'll start out, we're going to do a 3,000 meter on Friday night. Then we're going to do a DMR, which is a distant medley relay. And that distant medley relay actually consists of sprint, middle distance, and long distance events. The following day we'll start out with shot put, and then we'll move on to the jumps, hurdles, distance events, and we finish the day with a 4x400 meter relay. I'd say most events our athletes will be participating in, and I think they have a really good shot of making a splash at this meet, especially being it's the first, pretty much a fresh program. Basically, all the runners in the program are basically freshmen, unless they transferred from cross country. So we pretty much have a very young class, and so I think for the level or the youth of the class, I think we're going to do exceptionally well.
Track and field on the men's and women's sides of sport that is not yet sponsored by the Great American Conference, meaning that there's not a conference championship to compete for at the end of the year, whereas most other sports do have that, particularly cross country. So knowing that going into this year, you still got a full slate of competition. Kind of what is the focus this year, known as first year of the program? A lot of youth you talked about, and not necessarily having a conference championship to go after. So kind of what are the goals this season for your teams?
Well, although we don't have a championship this season, we will have a championship next season, April, the last weekend in April. And that championship will move to several locations over a couple of weekends, or maybe even a few weekends, because there's so many events. We're able to do the championship over a long period of time. Like 1 week when we're planning on doing the multis at one location in the conference, and the next weekend we might do the sprinting events, and we might possibly finish it with 2. We're still establishing how we're going to do the conference meet, but so it's great that we do have the conference building, and in April we are looking forward to it. But in the future, or for this season anyway, what we're going to look forward to is big meets like Texas Relays. You have to have really good qualifying times to get into Texas Relays. So we're trying to get good qualifying times, or hopefully be able to send a lot of runners down to the Texas Relays. They say over a 3-day period there's around 60,000 spectators there, let's see, it takes place in, I'm trying to remember, Austin? Okay, Austin, yeah, so about 60,000 spectators, a lot of high school spectators, good recruiting, and it's one of the most prestigious meets in the country, and so to have athletes make that will be outstanding. And then we plan on I'm getting ahead of myself, April the 2nd, we plan on having a dual meet with Harding. And this meet will be a classic meet for a trophy, and I think that'll be a lot of fun because you have that old AIC rivalry with Harding, and we're kind of bringing that back. And all around, I think every sport rivals with Harding from SAU. So it's going to be a good competition and a good way to see where we're at compared to one of the better teams in which I think in the country. And then at the end of the season, if the runners track and field's different than many sports because you can get a qualifying time to go to nationals. So if I have an athlete that runs 100 meters really fast and it's a qualifying time, then they have the opportunity of going to nationals and competing. And if they get in the top 8 at nationals, they'll get All-American. Also, although we don't have a conference championship, if we send several athletes to nationals and score many points, we could get nationally ranked or potentially win the national championship. So, although we do not have a conference championship this year, we have several things that we are looking forward to.
We appreciate it very much for your time, and as you're looking forward to this season, so are we here at Mule Rider Athletics and everybody around the community. Excited to have track and field back here at Southern Arkansas. Again, a very prestigious program back in the day, rejuvenated here this year under the leadership of head coach Tim Servis and his great assistant coaches Alonzo Banks, and the new graduate assistant is helping out with the field events. And so very excited about this upcoming season, Tim, and best of luck for both your teams.
Thank you.